You're scrolling through Instagram right now, watching someone unbox another luxury purchase, sipping a $20 smoothie you didn't really want, and deep down, beneath all the distractions, you feel it. That quiet panic. That little voice whispering that you're wasting your life one purchase at a time, and you ignore it. You push it down. You tell yourself tomorrow will be different, but tomorrow never is. And somewhere deep inside, you know it. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. When was the last time you looked at your bank account and felt actual peace? Not hope, not optimism, not telling yourself it'll get better next month, but genuine, deep, unshakable peace. For most of us, that moment either never existed or it's so far back in our memory that it feels like a dream. We've normalized the anxiety. We've accepted the knot in our stomach when the card processes. We've convinced ourselves that this constant low-grade financial panic is just what being an adult feels like. But here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. You're not broke because you don't make enough money. You're broke because money flows through your life like water through open fingers, and you've never once stopped to ask where it's actually going. You think you know. You think you're aware, but you're not. Because if you actually knew, if you really saw the patterns, you'd be terrified. And maybe that terror is exactly what you need. I want you to think about the last 7 days, every single purchase, every coffee, every lunch, every random thing you bought online at midnight because you were bored or stressed or just felt like you deserved something. Now add it up. Actually add it up in your head right now. What number did you get? $50, $100, $200? And here's the question that changes everything. What do you have to show for it? What did all that spending actually give you? A few minutes of distraction. A brief hit of excitement that faded before you even left the store. A pile of stuff you'll forget about in a week. We're living in the most seductive financial trap in human history. Every single app, every advertisement, every influencer, every notification is engineered to make you spend. Your brain is being hacked 24 hours a day by people who understand your psychology better than you do. They know exactly which buttons to push. They know that you're stressed about work, so they sell you comfort. They know you're comparing yourself to others, so they sell you status. They know you're afraid of missing out, so they sell you experiences you can't afford. And you're so deep in it that you don't even realize you're drowning. Here's what a typical month looks like for most people. Money comes in. You feel briefly relieved, maybe even a little excited. You tell yourself this month will be different, this month you'll save. This month you'll be responsible, and then life happens. Bills come due. Your friend wants to go out. You see something online. You're tired and don't want to cook. You deserve a treat because work was hard. Your subscription renews and you don't cancel it. Small purchases, harmless purchases, justified purchases. And then 2 weeks later you check your account and most of the money is gone. And you have no idea where it went. It just evaporated, like it was never even there. And the worst part, you do it again next month, and the month after that, and the month after that. You're trapped in a cycle so vicious that even when you see it happening, you feel powerless to stop it, because nobody ever taught you how. Nobody ever sat you down and explained how money actually works in your brain, in your life, in the real world. They taught you algebra and history and how to write essays. But they never taught you the one skill that determines whether you'll spend your entire adult life stressed or whether you'll actually build something that lasts. Financial stress isn't just about money. It's about everything money touches, which is everything. It's the relationship tension when you can't agree on spending. It's the career you stay stuck in because you can't afford to take a risk. It's the opportunities you miss because you don't have savings. It's the future you can't plan for because you're barely surviving the present. It's the constant mental load of juggling, calculating, worrying, hoping that nothing unexpected happens because if it does, you're done. That's not living. That's just surviving with better lighting. But what if I told you there's a system so simple, so elegant, so fundamentally logical that once you see it, you can't unsee it? What if I told you that thousands of people have used this exact system to go from financial chaos to financial clarity without making more money, without some complicated spreadsheet, without giving up everything they enjoy? What if the thing standing between you and actual financial peace isn't your income or your discipline or your intelligence, but just the fact that nobody ever gave you a framework that actually works with how humans actually live. This system is called the 50-30-20 rule. 3 numbers, 3 categories, 1 complete transformation in how you relate to every dollar you earn. And before you roll your eyes and think this is just another budgeting gimmick, just another restrictive system that you'll abandon in a week, I need you to understand something. This isn't about restriction. This is about permission. This is about finally having a clear answer to the question that's been tormenting you every time you want to buy something. Can I afford this? Should I get this? Am I being irresponsible? The 50-30-20 rule answers that question forever. Here's how it works, and I need you to really hear this because it's going to change everything. Of every dollar you earn after taxes, 50% goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, and 20% goes to savings and paying off debt. That's it. 50-30-20. Needs, wants, future. And in those 3 categories, in those 3 percentages, is the entire blueprint for financial stability that actually lasts. Let's break this down because the magic is in understanding what each category actually means. 50% for needs. Needs are not everything you've convinced yourself you need. Needs are the things that if you didn't pay for them, you'd lose your ability to survive and function. Rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, transportation to work, minimum debt payments, that's it. Not the fancy apartment. Not eating out because you're too tired to cook. Not the car payment on a vehicle that's way more than you actually need. Real, genuine, non-negotiable survival needs. And here's where most people's minds explode. When you actually audit your life, your real needs probably aren't even 50%. You've just been calling wants needs for so long that you believe it. This is the first hard truth. You've been lying to yourself. That phone plan that costs twice what it should, want. That streaming service you barely use, want. Those expensive organic groceries when regular ones would be fine, want. The gym membership you attend twice a month, want. And I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm saying you've been categorizing them wrong, which means you've been building a life where you think you have no control, when really, you just haven't been honest about what's actually locked in and what's a choice. When you bring your needs down to actual needs, something miraculous happens. You suddenly have breathing room. You suddenly have options. You suddenly realize that the financial prison you've been living in had an unlocked door the whole time. You just never checked. Now 30% for wants. This is where the system becomes genius, because every other budget system tells you to minimize wants, to feel guilty about wants, to be ashamed that you want things. But this system says no. 30% of everything you make is yours to spend on whatever you want without guilt, without justification, without promising to be better next month. Coffee, clothes, concerts, dinners, hobbies, whatever brings you joy, you get 30%. And that permission, that built-in allowance for being human, that's what makes this sustainable. Think about every diet you've ever tried. The ones that said no sugar, no carbs, no fun, no life. How long did they last? A week, a month, and then you broke, and when you broke hard, you binged, you felt shame, you gave up. The same thing happens with restrictive budgets. When you tell yourself you can't spend anything on fun, you eventually snap. You buy something expensive you don't need. You feel terrible. You abandon the budget. Cycle repeats. 30% for wants means you never have to feel deprived. You know exactly how much fun money you have. And as long as you stay within that 30%, you're being financially responsible. You're following the system. There's no guilt, no shame, no mental warfare every time you want something. You just check if it fits in your 30%. If it does, buy it and enjoy it. If it doesn't, you wait until next month, or you decide it's worth adjusting something else. Simple, clean, human. And then the 20%. This is where your future lives. 20% of everything you make goes to building the life you actually want instead of just surviving the life you have. In the beginning, most of this probably goes to debt. Credit cards, student loans, car payments, whatever financial ghosts have been haunting you, and you attack them with real money. Not minimum payments, not whatever's left over. 20% every month, without fail. And debt that felt permanent starts to crack. Balances that never moved start dropping. And you start to see what hope actually looks like in numbers. And once the debt is gone, that 20% becomes pure possibility. Emergency fund, retirement, down payment, investments, whatever future you've been telling yourself you'll get to someday, except now someday is actually happening. 20% every single month, building something real, something tangible, something that changes the entire trajectory of your life. Not in 10 years, not when you make more money, right now, today, with what you already have. Here's what nobody tells you about the 50-30-20 rule. It's not really about the money. It's about identity. When you follow this system, when you prove to yourself month after month that you can do this, that you can take control, that you can build something, you stop seeing yourself as someone who's bad with money. You stop identifying as financially helpless. You become someone who has a system, someone who makes intentional choices, someone who's building a future. And that shift, that fundamental change in how you see yourself, that changes everything. Because here's the thing about financial discipline. It's not willpower. Willpower runs out. Willpower is exhausting. Willpower is trying to fight your own nature every single day. But a system doesn't require willpower. It requires structure. And once the structure is in place, once the categories are set, once you know the percentages, you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're just following the plan. And following a plan is so much easier than reinventing your financial life every single month. Let me paint you a picture of what this actually looks like in real life. Let's say you bring home $3,000 a month after taxes. 50% is $1,500 for needs. Rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, transportation. 30% is $900 for wants. Eating out, entertainment, hobbies, whatever makes you happy. 20% is $600 for savings and debt. Every month. Like clockwork. In month 1, you take that $600 and you demolish a credit card balance, or you start an emergency fund, or both. In month 2, another $600. Month 3, another $600. And suddenly, after just 6 months, you have $3,600 that's either wiped out debt or sitting in savings. $3,600. When was the last time you had $3,600 working for you instead of against you? For most people, the answer is never. But now it's real. Now it's happening, and it's happening because you have a system. The 50-30-20 rule also destroys the biggest lie we tell ourselves about money. The lie that says if I just made more, everything would be fine. No, it wouldn't, because lifestyle inflation is real. When you make more without a system, you just spend more. The apartment gets nicer, the car gets newer, the restaurants get fancier, and you end up exactly where you were, just with more expensive problems. But when you have a system, when you have percentages, raises actually change your life. Because 20% of a bigger number is a bigger number. Your savings accelerate. Your future gets closer. The system scales with you. And let's talk about the psychological warfare that happens every single day around money. You're bombarded with messages designed to make you feel inadequate, so you'll spend. Buy this and you'll be happier. Buy this and you'll be more attractive. Buy this and you'll finally be enough. And without a framework, without a clear boundary, you're defenseless. Every ad is a temptation. Every post is a comparison. Every notification is a potential purchase. You're fighting a battle with no armor and wondering why you keep losing. But the 50-30-20 rule is armor. When you see something you want, you don't have to have an internal crisis about whether you should get it. You just ask, does this fit in my 30%? If yes, enjoy it guilt-free. If no, it's not about willpower or being good or resisting temptation. It's just math. The decision is already made. The boundary is already set. You're free. This is what financial peace actually feels like. It's not having $1 million. It's knowing exactly where your money is going and why. It's having a plan that you trust. It's sleeping through the night because you have savings. It's saying yes to opportunities because you're not trapped by debt. It's living your life instead of constantly reacting to financial emergencies. And all of it, every single piece of it, starts with 3 numbers. 50, 30, 20. So here's what you do right now. Today, not tomorrow, not next month. Right now, you calculate your after-tax monthly income. That's your starting point. You multiply it by 0.5, 0.3, and 0.2. Those are your 3 numbers. Those are your categories. That's your system. Then you look at your life honestly, brutally honestly, and you start making it fit. You downgrade where you've been overspending. You cancel what you don't use. You separate needs from wants. You create the structure. And yes, it will be uncomfortable at first. Change always is. You might have to make sacrifices you don't want to make. You might have to have hard conversations with yourself about the life you've been living versus the life you actually want. But discomfort is temporary. Financial stress is forever unless you do something about it. The people who change their lives aren't special. They're not smarter or more disciplined or naturally gifted with money. They just found a system that works and they committed to it long enough to see results. And those results compound, month after month, year after year, until one day they wake up and realize they're not scared anymore. They're not stressed anymore. They're not one emergency away from disaster anymore. They built something real, and so can you. This is your moment, right now, watching this. You can keep scrolling, keep distracting yourself, keep pretending that things will magically get better without you changing anything. Or you can decide that today is the day you stop wasting your money and start building your future. The 50-30-20 rule is simple. It's proven. It's waiting for you. All you have to do is start. Stop wasting money. Use the 50-30-20 budget rule today. Your future self is begging you to begin.